Welcome to a series called The End of Times, where we're going through the book of Revelation verse by verse to see what it is we can expect to happen in the end times. And as we've gone through this book, we've spent we're on episode 180 something, and we've spent every single episode, with the exception of a few, filming inside. And once we got to the part where heaven and earth had been decreated and the new heaven and the new earth had come about, I just felt God called me to come out and film by the lake in the morning, just because it's something new. It's beautiful, it's fresh. So as we've been looking at this new Jerusalem, every aspect of it is important. If it's in the Word of God, it's important. And there's a lot of aspects of this new Jerusalem, heaven, our eternal place, that people just fly over, and they just kind of, oh, well, it's made of this and that, and it looks like this. But it's important that we take some time and really focus on what's going on. Now, we talked about Revelation 21, where it says in 10, "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. And her light was like the most precious stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal." And we showed that when John saw God in his throne, that he was like a jasper stone. So it is the glory of God, like it is illuminating the glory of God. But now we're going to get into its foundations, the 12 foundations of the wall around the city, because each piece is important. Now that means we're going to probably spend about 12 episodes talking about these foundations. But they're incredibly important, because if we go to Revelation 21, starting verse 19, "And the foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with all kinds of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper." And we talked about what that jasper stone represents. It represents the glory of God. It's the first foundation of these walls. The second, sapphire. The third, chalcedony. And the fourth, emerald. The fifth, sardonyx. The sixth, sardius. The seventh, chrysolite. The eighth, beryl. The ninth, topaz. The 10th, chrysoprase. And the 11th, jacinth. And the 12th, amethyst. So we're going to look at the second, the sapphire, because understanding sapphire in the Bible, what that represents, is very significant. And I'm not going to just make assumptions. We're going to look at what the Word of God says about sapphire. There's a couple very significant verses in the Old Testament that talks about sapphire. So we're going to go to Exodus first. Exodus 24, starting verse 6. "And Moses took half the blood and put it in basins, and half the blood he sprinkled on the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read in the hearing of the people. And they said, 'All that the Lord has said we will do, and be obedient.' And Moses took the blood, sprinkled it on the people, and said, 'Behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord has made with you according to all these words.' Then Moses went up also, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and they saw the God of Israel. And there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone. And it was like the very heavens in its clarity." So here what you see is when the children of Israel and Moses, they see God, he's walking on sapphire brick pavement. And we talked about, like, when you see gold as clear as glass, when we see precious stones here on the earth, they're flawed. And they're, even if we shape them and polish them, there's always some flaws. There are no flaws in these. These are perfect, flawless stones. So when they say things like, "And there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone, and it was like the very heavens in its clarity." So this is a work of God. Like, he created this thing that he's walking on. And it's sapphire that he chose to walk on. But it's not just sapphire that he chooses to walk on. It's also sapphire that he chooses to sit on. If we go to Ezekiel 1:26, "And above the firmament, over their heads, was the likeness of a throne, in appearance like a sapphire stone. On the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man high above it." Now here is what we're seeing is the throne of God. Like, Ezekiel saw the throne of God come down and follow Israel around, showing that the throne of God is literally with them, and Ezekiel could see that. And this throne looks like a sapphire stone. Now, if we go to Ezekiel 10, starting verse 1, and I looked, and there in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubim, there appeared something like a sapphire stone, having the appearance of the likeness of a throne. So a sapphire stone is a perfect, flawless sapphire stone is where God's feet and his behind touch where he goes. So when he walks around, he's walking on sapphire stones. When he sits on sapphire stones. Now, this is very important because the first foundation, the jasper, was the glory of God. The sapphire is the holy presence of God. Like when we see that holy Jerusalem descending and it's glowing like a jasper stone, we know that he is in there. And when the second foundation is sapphire, we know that he is in there. And that's the most important thing that we see about these stones. Now, I will mention, just a kind of a brief side note, and we'll kind of talk about this probably in latter episodes, is that the chest plate of the high priest who went into the Holy of Holies had to have 12 stones on it as well. Now, 3 of them are different than what we see in these foundations. And that's a whole other lesson, and we'll get into what that is on another episodes. But sapphire was there. It was in the second row, the second over was the sapphire stone. It's important that we understand that God built this place for you and me. And every aspect of it is incredibly important. We can't just blast over it. And what this sapphire represents is it represents everywhere God touches. Like when he walks around, it's a sapphire created by him. It's a perfect sapphire brick pavement kind of thing. And everywhere he sits, when he sits on his throne in heaven, in the throne room, and when he goes around, it's like a jasper, it's like a sapphire stone. And so when we see these foundations, it's important that we understand what it is they represent. And this sapphire represents things that God touches, where he goes, the places that he goes and that he touches are sapphire. We know that to be so based on the word of God. That's what he was planning on building Jerusalem with. So there you go. Any thoughts or insight on any of that? Definitely put that in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel with Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.